Hello. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Beauty in Us Radio right here on Awesome God Radio Month. So it's May 2nd, 2023. It's hard to believe that we're already smack dab in the middle of spring. It's been a little cold lately, but the rain has been kind of off and on throughout the course of the week and even some portions last week. But I'm glad that we are still enjoying the spring weather, and we're almost already in the middle of 2023, and that's still unbelievable to me. We're just flying by with time. So I want to just let you guys know that we have a special guest this evening, Ms. Vicki Jones, the CEO and founder of the Bahari Sisters Incorporated. She's going to be speaking to us about the foundation and about the work that she does for the community later on in the show. So she's going to be joining us for the second half of the show to talk about that. I want to first, though, speak for the first 30 minutes of the show about a topic that I think everybody can relate to. I think that this topic kind of coincides with what we will be discussing tonight with Miss Vicki. I think that, when we talk about partnerships and when we talk about forming bonds and relationships with others, and when we talk about, again, having colleagues, not just in the workforce, but people who are trying to be the driving forces of change, and when we're looking for people to help us in our dreams and fulfill our goals, we need friends, we need colleagues, we need a support system, we need people along the journey with us. So today I'm going to talk about the topic of friendship, but I'm also going to speak about what it means to really have people on your journey who support your dream, what you do, who you are, and so forth. So I wanted to talk about this subject because I don't think that I've ever talked about friendships before on my show. Within the past 3 years that I've been doing this, I've spoken a lot about a lot of different topics. I've spoken about the meaning of unconditional love. I've spoken with my mom on the show about, Mom's Day, on Mother's Day. I've spoken with a couple of gentlemen on Father's Day and so forth. But I don't think I've never really spoken about friendships and what it means to really have people who, again, act as that support system for you during different portions of your journey. Because all of us have dreams, all of us are born with talents, skills, and abilities, but we need friends, we need people in our corner, we need a support system to help us fulfill those dreams. So I want to talk about friendships. I want to talk about what it looks like to really build relationships and really build coalitions with others. Because again, we have dreams that God blesses us with, but God also blesses us with people who can help fulfill those dreams and who can help us along the journey. Oftentimes, people think that they can just fulfill their dreams, their goals, and their desires alone, but God has blessed us with people to do that. But I think that when we talk about the importance of friendship, and when we talk about the importance of building coalitions and really bonding with others, really, again, letting God move throughout our lives and allowing God to really introduce us to people who are going to be an asset to our lives. I think that that's something important. As we speak about community outreach and as we speak about the work that's done with the Bahari Sisters, I just wanted to spend the first 30 minutes speaking about friendships, relationships, coalitions, partnerships. All of them are required in order for all of us to fulfill our dreams. We need people on our journey. We need people who are there during the good times and the bad times. So I wanted to take some time to talk about that for the first 30 minutes. So Psychology Today, according to Psychology Today, they say that friendships are a crucial part of living a fulfilling life, and a friendship makes life more enjoyable and enriches one's everyday experiences. And finding friends can be challenging, but it can often be achieved by approaching others with mutual interests. The first criteria one should look for in a partner or in a friend is someone who is ultimately a good friend to them. As we move through life, we find that there are many things out of our control. We can't choose our parents, our genetics, or control the things that happen in the world around us. One thing that we can all control is who our friends are. And this decision can either make our lives so much richer and beautiful or more stressful and disappointing. Today, we'll focus on how to choose friends who enrich our lives and make them more beautiful. And it goes on to say, why are friends so important? So it says, according to Psychology Today, it says that having solid friendships is important for two main reasons. First, they make life more enjoyable. We get to share the beautiful aspects of life with people who we love, who can enrich our everyday experiences. And second, our friends help us through the difficult times. Having friends to support us through hard times can make the unimaginably difficult situations seem more tolerable. The more beautiful part about pouring our time and energy into friendships is that not only do friends help us enrich our lives, but we enrich theirs too. Friendships get us through the tough times in life. It makes things more fun and enjoyable, and all around makes our lives better. And they go on to say that I urge you to take stock of your friendships and ask yourself if your current friends build you up and support you, or is this friendship more one-sided? And as we explore friendships today, it goes on to say that these are also inclusive of our partners. And I believe that the foundation for any healthy relationship is friendship. So it's important to group, again, our romantic partners into this conversation too. And I'm gonna stop right there for a minute. And again, when we talk about building friendships, when we talk about building relationships, when we talk about forming coalitions and partnerships, and just having people along with us on this journey through life, and when we're trying to fulfill the dreams that God places in our hearts, we have to really be mindful of, who we allow in our space on a daily basis. I think it's safe to say that, we get up, we go to work every day, we're around people in different capacities, we cross paths with people all the time. We have a lot of people that we know. A lot of people have a lot of acquaintances. So I know that for me, I have a lot of people that I do business with. I have a lot of associates. I have a lot of colleagues. But again, my group of friends is a really, really reasonable size. I have a very good amount of friends. I'm blessed to have friends who support my dreams and my goals and my desires. And God has blessed me with the opportunity to really work with them and to really benefit from what they have to bring as well. I think that when we talk about fulfilling our dreams and when we talk about the desire to make a difference, we have to think about who is going to really help us in that aspect. We can't we can't fulfill our dreams by ourselves, and we can't again use the tools, every single tool out there to make this happen. God blesses all of us with different spiritual gifts, different talents, different abilities, and all of them are very diverse. So we have to have a team of people on our journey, friends, partners, colleagues, partners, or whomever, to really help us fulfill that. And I think that when we talk about the importance of friendships specifically, I think that we need to remember that, in order to in order to have friends, you have to be one. And I think that it's also important to note that anybody who um, has a dream has to look for people to have dreams as well. I think that it's safe to say that you can't share your dreams with others, and you can't expect people to support you in your dream if they don't have any dreams of their own. I think it's very important for all of us to, again, collaborate with people who have dreams as well. We can when you are surrounding yourself with people who have dreams, and when you surround yourself with people who are very goal oriented, more likely than not, they're going to pour into you, and you are going to be in a better position to pour into them. And they're going to be in the position to motivate you and encourage you in your journey. Oftentimes, a lot of people go through difficult situations alone as they pursue their dreams. And oftentimes, people don't get to see what goes on behind the scenes. Oftentimes, people look at the dream or they look at the gift that God has given someone and they just see the journey from A to Z. But a lot of people don't really recognize the number of hurdles that take place behind the scenes to really make that happen. Sometimes, when you're fulfilling a dream and when you're trying to look for people to really support you, sometimes you get discouraged because you feel like nobody understands it, nobody's being supportive. Sometimes you feel like you're the only one who has, everything under control, and that's not the way God intended things to be for us. We all have to be in a position where we can, again, open ourselves up to new opportunities and new people, but again, at the same time, just be very cautious about who we share our dreams with, who we allow in our space, because again, we need people who support our dreams and our desires, but who love us for who we are as well. because there are a lot of people who may like dreams that you have, but they may not necessarily like who you are. And then you have people who may like you personally, but may not understand your dream. And then you have those people who don't like you or your dream. So again, we have to really remember who's in our boat and who's really supporting us and who's really encouraging us. And when we talk about friendships specifically, and again, when we talk about coalitions, when we speak about partnerships, and when we speak about, again, when we speak about the partnerships that we create on a daily basis, not only to elevate and not only to move forward and advance in our careers, but also to uplift people in theirs as well. Everybody is born with a gift that God has blessed them with. Everybody has something special to offer this world. In God's eyes, we're all special. So everybody is in the position to make a difference, because our dreams should not be self-centered. Our dreams should not be filled with self-gratification. Our dreams are intended to make a difference in the lives of others. So we just have to really dig deep and really pray to God and ask him, what is it inside of me that can really make a difference in this world? How am I able to serve? How am I going to walk through life as that servant of God, so that people who see me, people who recognize me, people who, again, model after my leadership and my style of just walking and just living and just my way of being, people can really see God through me in my walk. How can I do that? So that's something that we really have to pray and ask God about, because again, all of us have skills and abilities. They're vastly different, but we can all make a difference, and we can all be in a position where we can, again, use our talents and our skills to make a difference. But again, we have to be selective about who we allow in our space. We have to be selective about who we have supporting us and who we have encouraging us. And again, we have to make sure that in order to build friendships, these friendships, we have to really be open and honest and transparent about um, what our dreams are, what our goals are, what our desires are, because every dream is born from a story. We all have a story. And I think that when we are in a position where we're trying to build coalitions and build partnerships in the professional realm, we have to start from where our story begins. And when we build friendships and when we're in relationships, we have to be open and honest and transparent with the people that we deal with in our personal lives. And we have to, we have to trust them enough to be open and honest about, what we have to share, our stories. Because again, every dream starts with a story. Every dream starts with something in your life that you may have that you may be passionate about. There's something that may have happened that you may want to see differently in the future. So every dream is born from a story. So we all have a different story. So I see people all the time. I've worked with many activists and community organizers who want to be the driving force of social change. And again, that social change could mean many things. That social change could really be vastly different depending on whoever you speak with. But again, we have to also remember that sometimes, again, we have opposition when we're pursuing our dreams. Everybody may not understand it. Everybody may not necessarily like what we're doing. We have people who may never want to understand, or who may never want to participate, or who may never want to uplift you in your dream. And we have to, again, be okay with the fact that everybody's not going to be supportive and everyone's not going to celebrate us. But it's our responsibility to really figure out who is. And it's our responsibility to, again, weed those people out. So when we talk about friendships, relationships, partnerships, and coalitions, not just in the professional realm, but also in the personal realm, we have to think about how crucial it all is. Psychology today goes on to say that friendships are a crucial part of living a fulfilling life. And it's so important that we surround ourselves with people who have fun with and who support us, and people who make us better. And we may already have beautiful friendships in our lives, but if we have to ask ourselves the question of whether or not we're still in the market for friends. And we also have to remember that it's never too late to cultivate new relationships that will make our lives even more magnificent. So again, we have older friends, people we may have history with, but we have to also be open to new relationships and new friendships when we're taking on a new journey and when we're pursuing something new, and when God has blessed us with a new dream in our heart to go out and fulfill, we have to also, with that new dream that God has blessed us with, we have to again allow God to move through our lives and introduce us to resources that are going to make that dream come to fruition. And sometimes those resources are people. Sometimes those resources are not just money or anything else. Sometimes the resources are new people. Sometimes the new resource may be a new atmosphere. Sometimes that resource may be a new job, or or anything. So these are some of the things that we have to remember. And again, friendships take time, partnerships, coalitions, they all take time to really build. It requires all of us to really nurture those moments with our peers. It requires us to, again, be there during the difficult times and the good times. It's easy for people to be around each other when things are going well and when things are maybe feel like they're on cloud nine. But we really see everybody's character and integrity during the bad times. We really see who's in our boat and who really supports us in our dream, even if it may look discouraging. So we have to, again, look for the people who are going to be in a position to demonstrate that loyalty no matter what happens, because we need people who are not going to abandon us in our dream if things don't work out. Sometimes God places us through a storm as we pursue our dreams and as we pursue our desires. Sometimes that storm, again, leaves us feeling discouraged. But it's our responsibility to, again, trust Him in the process and allow Him to move, and also to lean on the people who are still with us in our journey and in our dream, so that they can be in a position to, again, uplift us, because we all need some encouragement sometimes. When we're going through a storm, it's easy for us to feel discouraged and to feel like giving in the towel, and it's easy to just give up and just ignore the dream. But ease, pleasure, and comfort doesn't make us grow. Pleasure, and comfort actually does us disservice. It's the challenges, it's the tests and the trials that really test our character and integrity and our willingness to really serve God and to really be that servant that He's calling us to be for the people throughout this world. It's our responsibility as Christians to demonstrate the love of God, um, and it's our responsibility to, again, allow people to really see Jesus Christ in the inside of us through our work and through our service. Yeah, so it's really easy for people to be there during the good times, but we really get to see who people are during the bad times, during the most difficult times. Sometimes when the world walks out, sometimes when again, when we don't know what to do and we don't know where to turn, we need those types of people there. So again, this all ties into our subject for this evening. So let's see. Okay, here we go. So again, when we talk about friendships, we have to remember about not only about what we can do for them, but also about what we can do for us. So when we're building partnerships, coalitions, and when we're building new relationships and new friendships, we have to think about how, not only about how they're meeting our needs, but also about how we're meeting their needs. Because when we're developing friendships, when we're building coalitions, partnerships, and when we have colleagues, and again, people in our corner who want to help us in our dreams, we all have to support each other, and that support looks different, for everybody. So again, everybody has to be in the position to uplift each other. Everyone needs to be in a position where they don't hold back resources or hold back new things, new ideas, new thoughts, new suggestions in terms of how to make that dream, again, come to fruition better. So again, I just wanted everybody to just know that a little bit more, when we talk about friendships and when we talk about relationships, and when we speak about the whole idea of this having people in our boat who are really supporting us in our dreams. Because oftentimes, people who don't fulfill their dreams or desires, they don't have that type of support. They don't know how to ask for that type of support that they need in order to really, really help them. A lot of people allow pride to get the best of them when they enter into a new dream, and when they think they know everything, and they try to use every skill, every tool, every opportunity to their advantage for self-gratification or for selfishness. When it's motivated by greed and selfishness, that dream doesn't usually turn out well. a dream that God places in our heart should never be about how we can benefit from the situation, or how we can, again, how we can obtain self gratification. Our dreams should always be about service. Our dreams should always be about making a difference in the community. Our dreams should be about making the difference in the lives of people who we cross paths with on a daily basis. So these are, again, the things I just want everybody to understand, because culture, always demonstrates to us that, in order to be successful and in order to climb the career ladder, and in order to really be recognized and acknowledged, that you have to, motivate yourself, and you have to make the most money, and you have to, again, get the most notoriety and so forth. And that's not true. People oftentimes think that consumerism is the route to take when they're fulfilling their dreams, thinking about the most that they can get out of situations and the most that they can get out of their service. But again, our service should always be about, motivating others, strengthening others, teaching them about perseverance and resilience. We use our story in order to motivate others. Again, we all have a story. We all have something to share with someone else, so that they don't have to go through a lot of what we went through. So again, our dreams should not be motivated by greed, selfishness, self-gratification, and so forth. Culture always talks about that. They always showcase that through social media, on TV, magazines, and different outlets. Self-gratification is the route that the world is taking in order to achieve great things. And that's not the way that it's intended. Our service is supposed to be motivated by our willingness to serve God and to serve God's people. Our service should always be about, again, making the difference in other people's lives, seeing them at their best, motivating them while they're at their worst, and really, again, being that model and that demonstration for Jesus Christ living on the inside of us. So again, these are some of the things that I want everybody to think about, because people are walking around with dreams and goals and visions that they don't know what to do with. And a lot of people are really scared about moving forward in that dream, because they may be afraid of failing. They may be afraid of not knowing what to expect, the fear of the unknown, and the fear of just, not having people in their corner. So I just wanted to spend the first half of the show just talking about that, because I think that when we talk about dreams, when we talk about goals, when we talk about a vision for ourselves, we have to think about the people who are involved. We have to think about our community. We have to think about, again, what God has placed on our hearts. And we have to think about what our motive is. And we have to think about, again, how this is going to impact the lives of others. It's not about, what I can get out of a situation, or what's going to make me feel better or look better or sound better. This is about, again, how this is going to really affect the lives of others. If it's a dream that's going to really serve God's people and allow unbelievers to see Jesus Christ on the inside of us so that they can be led to Christ, then that, of course, that dream, that desire is going to come to fruition through the necessary tools and resources and people through prayer. But if it's motivated by selfishness, it's more likely than not going to get very far. So these are some of the things that I wanted to discuss a little bit with you guys, because I think, again, I don't think I talked about friendship before on the show, but I think that when we talk about relationships, partnerships, coalitions in the business world and in our personal lives, I think that it covers a wide variety of things. And again, people need to use their time wisely when they're pursuing their dreams, when they're looking at the vision that they have for themselves. And people don't need to waste their time with people who don't necessarily value what they have to bring to the table. We need to take that energy and take that time to really spend it with people who we can really work with and accomplish things with and really serve with, because we're all children of God, and this is all about, serving God and serving God's people and doing God's work. So these are some of the things I just really wanted to discuss with everyone when we talk about these things, because people are walking around not knowing how to go about their goals and how to pursue their dreams. People are fearful of failure and rejection and feeling abandoned by the people that they thought may have understood their dream, but then may not have after a while. And again, like I said, dreams come with opposition. dreams come with negativity from people who don't understand and who may be, in a sense, ignorant about what it is that you have to offer, what it is that you want to, the difference that you want to make, and who you want to really serve. So all of that, comes into play. But when we remember what the purpose is, and when we keep the overall objective in mind, it's always going to work out. These are some of the things that I wanted people to really think about and consider. It's really, because it's really important. The sources, Psychology Today also goes on to say that in some cultures, the concept of friendship is restricted to a small number of very deep relationships. And again, I talked about this. We need to have close friends and people in our lives who can really challenge us to be better, challenge us to really show up better. We need people in our lives who can really, again, motivate us to be better, and who aren't afraid to really, again, tell us when we're, to not only catch us when we're falling, but to tell us when we may be making a mistake in one area, and just to be, again, that support system. Because again, we don't know everything, and we can't try to act like, we know everything, because it doesn't turn out well in the end. So again, when we talk about friendships, partnerships, and coalitions, we need accountability partners. We need people who are willing to, tell us when we're wrong, and to show us, the direction to take in order to make things right. Because we don't need people on our team when we're pursuing our dreams to just agree with everything we say, or to just agree with whatever we want to do. We need everybody's suggestions, because everybody who's a part of the dream needs to be on board. Everyone who's a part of the vision needs to, again, have a voice. Everybody's story matters. Everybody's experience matters. The creativity and the talents that everybody's been blessed by God with matters. So these are some of the things I just really wanted to just speak with you guys about. All of these relationships, again, it's still manifested from unconditional love, to help the other person or the group of people that you're around, and who want to, again, motivate you, just like you want to pour into them. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce everybody to Miss Vicki Jones, the CEO and founder of the Bahari Sisters Incorporated. I've known her for quite some time now, but this is the first time she's been a part of my broadcast, and I'm very excited. I've had a lot of great and fantastic people on my show to speak about the amazing work that they're doing in the community. I've had an opportunity to speak to a lot of people throughout the course of the pandemic, and the pandemic is coming to an end, but the work that's done throughout the community is still pressing forward. So without further ado, I want to thank you, Miss Vicki, for agreeing to appear on my show and my broadcast to speak about your work with the Bahari Sisters.
Good evening, Nelson. It's so great to be with you here, and good evening to your listeners and your viewers. I am Vicki L Jones, and I'm the founder and executive director of Bahari Sisters, Inc. And Bahari, you talk about community and village. The community that we serve happens to be in Kenya. Bahari's mission is to empower and uplift the lives and the status of Kenyan women and girls, and women and their families. And we do that through economic development, through educational projects, and through healthcare initiatives.
Yes, thanks for giving that little spill on what you do with the Bahari Sisters. It's greatly appreciated. I've read about the work that you guys do, and it's really fantastic. So before we talk about the foundation, I wanted to give you an opportunity to share with us a little bit of information about yourself. What led you to really establishing this type of organization in the first place? How did you begin? Like, what did your journey look like in order to get to this point?
I've always been interested in outreach work, service work, long before I knew that that's what it was. As you said, we all have gifts and talents. And I've always had that feeling and connection to people who were less fortunate, whether it be unhoused people or people who didn't have food. I just always, from a young age, felt that kind of connection to do something for those communities. And when I was in my 30s, I felt this pull to really take that first trip to the continent. I wanted to go to Africa, had always wanted to go to Africa, and had seeded into a friend's pastor's missions trip for a couple of years. And there came a point where I said, you know what? This is a year for me to go. And it happened that the group that had been going that I looked into went to Kenya. And they went to Kenya every year in February. And part of the time was spent at a church conference, and the rest of the time was spent doing outreach service and missions work. So 2006, I was able to take that first trip and met women that I just made immediate friendships with, and also met people who were in the service and missionary community who then I could learn from as to how to do that. And I guess first trip was 2006. A couple trips after that, I had formed relationships where women were texting me, Vicki, can you help me with school fees? Can you help me with my rent? Things like that. And I knew that I personally could not continue to support women like that. And so I said, well, Lord, you know, what am I going to do? How do I do this? And after prayer and revelation, it was form a nonprofit. And so Bahari was formed in 2012. And Bahari means ocean in Swahili. That's our connection over the ocean. So in 2012 is when the organization was formally formed, to continue to do the work that I had started to do as an individual.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Thank you for sharing a little bit about your background and what really led you to establishing this nonprofit. It's really appreciated. And again, you know, I love the work that you guys do, and I love the fact that you have been able to really give back to the community in such a high esteem. What are some of the roles and responsibilities that your colleagues have with the Bahari Sisters? Because I know that you serve as the executive director, but I know that all of this work cannot be done by one person. So, could you tell us a little bit about what the roles and responsibilities look like in terms of how the outreach is really orchestrated?
We are a small and mighty group. I have a board here in the States of 7, and I have to think a moment because, praise God, we just had a new board member who joined us this month. So I have a board of 7 here in the States. And in Kenya, we have a project manager, Audrey, and she has an assistant, Kate. And basically, they are our hands on the ground. Audrey and Kate do the work. We were even in the midst of COVID and able to open our first office in Nairobi, and the office is on the site of Bookshine High School in the Mwiki section of Nairobi. We've been supporting Bookshine High School. There are 2 locations of Bookshine High School, and we've been supporting the Bookshine number 1 for many years, since 2008 or 9, I believe, with scholarships and uniforms and supplies for their chemistry lab. And so we were able to open our office for in 2021 on the site of Bookshine High School. And out of that office, Audrey does our work. The way we operate is that the board approves what projects we are going to fund for each quarter. And I transmit those funds to Audrey, and then she does the work, whatever it is, whether it's our monthly food pantry, whether it is giving out AfriPads, which is sanitary product, to a school. She and I electronically, WhatsApp, however we do it, that's how the work gets done.
Yes, thank you again for sharing a little bit about that, because I know that it takes a lot of work and dedication and determination from your small group of staff members and your small group of colleagues to really get this done. This is necessary work. It's very important work. So it's really appreciated. What are some of the joys that you have about this work, and what are some of the challenges that you've encountered, especially throughout the course of the pandemic, where it was really, really difficult to really conduct outreach? It was much needed throughout the course of the pandemic, but everybody had to modify the way they did business and the way they conducted outreach throughout the course of the pandemic. So what did that look like for you guys to really serve the community?
I think, ironically for us, the pandemic was in many ways not as did not have as much an impact on us, for a couple of reasons. First, because we always operate internationally. I'm here, she's there. So nothing in how the work got done changed. The impact, and the other thing is that while so much was totally shut down in the States, that was not necessarily the case on the continent, and was not as much the case in Kenya, because the impact of the virus did not affect the communities that we deal with, because they're insular. We deal with communities in Nairobi who live in very, very depressed areas, much so that the average American would not have any concept of the level of challenge that many of the communities we work with have. We work with communities where there's no kind of infrastructure. There's no electricity or plumbing or sewage or any of that. And we deal with communities that live in vast miles and miles of areas that are insular communities. So when you talk about the spread of the virus back then, it was a lot had to do with people coming and going, coming and going. World amount of who are coming and going. In Kenya, the folk that were coming and going, who were expats or coming from Europe or coming from Asia, were not entering into the communities where we were working. So oddly enough, it took a while for the virus to impact those communities. So for the most part, people were still going about their lives, doing what they were doing. And so we were able to continue to do our work. We have a core amount of monthly donors, and that did not decrease during the pandemic. I have a board that supports our projects. So we operate on a very, very small budget compared to what other nonprofits work on. But the fact that we work in Kenya helps, because there's, you can take a little bit of money and you can do a lot here. So oddly enough, the pandemic did not hit us as much as a small nonprofit in the States who was trying to continue to do business.
Yes, and thank you for sharing that. Because and I wanted to ask that because a lot of people suffered a lot of loss throughout the course of the pandemic, but it actually, in a sense, helped you guys with your outreach because you were still able to serve, you were still able to make the difference in your community, you were still able to really serve the marginalized communities, in the communities that you just described. So it's really great to hear that this because this pandemic has really been it's been a blessing in some ways. So I'm glad that you were able to really share that because a lot of people look at all of the loss that they've suffered from. A lot of people did not recover from the pandemic. Some people are still trying to recover from the pandemic, even though it's been 3 years, and even though um, it started back in 2020. Some people are still recovering, but to hear that you guys have been able to stay afloat and still be successful
Yes,
at your work, that's
yes.
really great. That's really great. Um, so so who has really mentored you throughout the course of your time as the executive director of this nonprofit? Because again, all of the work can't be done by one person. We all need accountability partners, especially when we're in a leadership role. We all need someone to really pull us back in if we're going too far to the left, or if we're losing focus, or if we may not be making the right decisions. So, who has really been your mentor, your accountability partner throughout the course of your time as an executive director? Who do you turn to? Because I know that as the executive director, everybody looks at you for answers to everything because of your leadership. But what does that look like for you in terms of having mentors?
My biggest mentor was Nolan Henson. Nolan is, as I said, I travel in February, and this there's a group of people. You talk about colleagues and people of like mind. There's a group of people that since I believe he started going to Kenya, my first trip was 2006. He had been going years before that. He um, at one point was a pastor, and he took a missions trip to Kenya, and he started to mentor to other pastors. And what happened was this person from this church heard Nolan was going in February, and somebody else heard he was going. And this person that wanted to go on safari decided to go in February from Nolan. And so it became a group of people going every February with Nolan heading up the group. And when I went with him, that was my first international trip. And it was my first entree into doing missions work and outreach. And I consider him my mentor whenever I see him, because we just went in February. I always say, Nolan, thank you, because, it's because of you that I'm now doing this. And, he taught me how to travel. You talk about who's your mentor, when you're doing something like whatever you're doing, there's specifics to that job, to that industry, so to speak, that you have to learn. I had to learn how to travel. I had to learn how to pack. I had to learn how to get a passport and a visa. I had to learn what shots to get. I had to learn how you operate as a Black woman in a country where there's male dominance, although women are running the economy. Has a Black woman coming and being bold and saying this and that to men, that was, okay, this is how you're going to be perceived, because there's a whole culture thing. So Nolan was and continues to be a mentor to me, because there was so much that I did not know about how to travel. I had flown domestically, but when you're talking about taking 2 flights here, there, and transporting and going through customs and all that, I didn't know how to do that. But now, when, I went this past February and basically traveled by myself, because we didn't really see each other, although a group of us technically went together, didn't really see each other until we were in Dubai. I essentially traveled by myself. That's something that in 2006, I would have said, Lord, I can't do this. I'm scared. No, but he has been my mentor, in that. There are other things about being an executive director, the basics of how to do things and paperwork and what is acceptable and what is not acceptable, that I have learned an awful lot from the Maryland nonprofits. I would encourage any person who's thinking about starting an organization, or who is currently working in the nonprofit arena that has questions. Maryland nonprofits has just a tremendous amount of information and options to do seminars and research. And so for, day-to-day operational type things, Maryland nonprofits has been a great help.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And again, it's great that that you've had a mentor who's been with you, throughout this journey. And I always ask everyone that because even as leaders, no matter what level you've been placed in as a leader, we all need accountability partners. We all need mentors. We all need people who are in the position to really show us the ropes. Because most of the time, people who are mentors to us have gone through some of the stuff that we're going through. They've had those challenges, and it's great to know that you've had someone who's been a part of your journey and who continues to be that role model and that inspiration for you, and who continues to guide you throughout the course of your time as an executive director. So it's really nice to know that and hear that. My next question is, how are you and your colleagues working diligently throughout the course of 2023? In terms of just the work that you've done, because you said that you established this nonprofit in 2012, so it's 11 years old now. So what are your plans for the rest of 2023 and moving forward? Because I know that you guys have been around for a little over a decade, and I know there's so much more work to do. So what does that look like for you guys?
For us as an organization, it looks like continuing some of the projects that we have had in place for a while, things like the food pantry, things like assisting elder women when possible with assistance with rent and solar lamps and things like that. But what has happened in the 2020-21 frame, when I did not travel, I had the opportunity to think about the next years and think about how we can evolve. And with that, we brought on a new project manager. Audrey is a new project manager who we hired in 2021. And with her experience, she's a graduate of the University of Nairobi, and she came with experience in organizing women and doing women's projects. I was able to then think on the next level of where we wanted to go, and how when I started going in 2006, it was about me taking baggies of cosmetics, personal items, and handing out baggies to women, and how we have evolved from from me carrying baggies of handing out to women to having a food pantry where we service approximately 40 women, depending upon how many times a month we do it. And that's how we have progressed. We went from having women come to a initial business development class to having trained women, 3 young women who in basic cosmetology skills who are now able to earn an income. So what that looks like going forward is we are now going to be sending those women to cosmetology college so that they get a certificate. And here in the States, I have partnered with a friend who actually, I'm also, as you know, a designer, and was an adjunct professor at BCCC in their fashion design department a few years back. And one of my students, who I always call my favorite because she was actually my worst design student, and we laugh about it. She's like, "Miss Vicki, I can't help it. This is the best I could do." And I was like, "That's okay." Well, her gift and talent was doing hair. And her name is Denise Flowers, and she has a salon that's on Joppa Road doing very well. Well, we are now partnering to work with her and her colleagues in the cosmetology arena to sponsor these young women in cosmetology college, and so that we can grow that project to put more women through cosmetology so that more women can earn an income, have a profession. I met a young woman there in February who wanted to start a clothing business. And she shared that she had started to gather some equipment to sew, but all of her equipment had been stolen from her. So I seeded into her to buy a sewing machine. I took that on as a personal thing because I'm a designer. And so since February, when I met her, she has purchased a professional sewing machine. We commissioned her to build drapes for our office. She's built the drapes for our office. She's also gained some other clients. And she just sent a report this week, actually, showing that her business is making a profit. And we are now going to be working with her to train other women. So 2023 looks like growing our sustainable projects and making sure that we see results.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. It seems like you guys have been doing a lot of great work to really empower, young women and to really make a difference. And that's really important. It's really a joy to see, women uplift each other. Because again, the work that you guys do is fantastic. Because again, everybody deserves an opportunity to, to have things in this world. And again, what you guys have been able to do and what you're planning, it seems like you've been able to accomplish a lot throughout the course of the pandemic. You guys didn't let it stop you. You guys continue to move forward, and you guys continue to serve, and you didn't allow any of the challenges to dictate how you served. So that's really great to hear. So my last question as we wrap this up is, how can people really find you and get in touch with you if they want to learn more about your organization or more about the work that you do?
They can go to the website, which is follow us at Bahari Sisters on Facebook or Instagram. And they can follow me, Vicki L Jones. I'm on Facebook as Vicki L Jones. I'm on Instagram as, I believe it's Vicki doing 60. And I invite them to go there. My design site is Raptures, WRAPTURES, designs.biz, B-I-Z. So they can follow me or the organization on several social media platforms.
Yes, thank you again, Miss Vicki, for appearing on my show and taking time out this evening to speak about your work. You guys do fantastic work for the women in your communities, and you guys, the plans that you have and the partnerships and coalitions that you guys have built throughout the years, it's definitely been, it's definitely been impactful. So my hat's off to all of you guys for the work that you do. Before I let you go, I just wanted to just thank you again for your service to the community and for the work that you've been able to do. And I know there's more in store. This is just the beginning of so much more that you guys have to bring. So thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity, Nelson.
Yes, you have a great evening.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Okay, so that wraps up another edition of the Beauty in Us Radio right here on Awesome God Radio. I'm your host, Nelson E. Brown, and I want to thank you guys again for tuning into another show. It's been a joy, having you guys as a part of this broadcast. It's been a joy to really have you guys as a part of this conversation. This is fantastic work. We have a lot of nonprofits throughout our communities, not just here in Maryland, not just here in the United States, but across seas and on an international level that are still making an impact and that are still making a difference in the lives of people all over the world. So I hope that you guys have been able to educate yourselves a little bit more about the Bahari Sisters Inc. and also about the work that Miss Vicki does. And I hope that this has really inspired you guys to really dig deep and look inside and really see the social change that needs to take place in different aspects of this world. I hope you guys have been able to really think about your passions and your skills and your talents and your abilities and how you can use them in order to really make a difference in the lives of others, and how you can really, again, make that impact and leave that legacy that I've talked about time and time again on the show. So again, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and for your support and for all of your input. I see all of you guys. I hear all of you guys. I appreciate you guys for tuning in and, again, being a part of the conversation. This is necessary work. This is needed work. So I will see you guys very soon. I hope you guys, again, are enjoying this spring weather. It's been raining a little bit, but it's still been spring weather. We're already in May. Today's May 2nd. So it'll be great to see you guys next time. And again, it's been 3 years. But again, I'm learning something new and exciting from each and every one of my guests. Everybody who's been a part of this broadcast has really educated me and has really helped me learn about all of the resources, all of the fantastic people that are out here actually making a difference and that are actually, again, helping everybody else see the beauty in what they do and who they are. So I love you guys and I appreciate you guys, and I will see you guys next time. Make sure that you follow Awesome God Radio on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and all of the other social media sites. Make sure that you follow me as well at Nelson E. Brown on Twitter and Instagram, and as Nelson Brown on LinkedIn and Facebook. Make sure that you subscribe to Awesome God Radio's YouTube channel so that you can have a chance to tune in and listen in on some of my colleagues, some of my radio buddies and their shows. I hope to see you guys next time. I encourage you guys to look through some of my previous broadcasts. I have 3 years worth, so there is plenty of content available for you all. I've made this platform as diverse and as inclusive as possible so that I can really be in a position to, serve you guys and to really leave my legacy with you guys and to really pour my heart out week after week, month after month. It takes a lot of hard work to run a show, and it takes a lot of hard work to really captivate an audience who understands and who can really identify with you. So I really appreciate you guys and I love you guys. I've always poured into you guys for the past 3 years, and I've continued to grow as a result of that too. This broadcast is not just for you guys, but it's also for me too. I've been able to really grow as a person, as a young man, and in all aspects of my life. So I appreciate you guys for that too. So I will see you guys next time. Make sure that, again, you watch some of my colleagues and what they have to offer. There are other fantastic shows that are a part of this network and this part of the station. Make sure that you tune into some of my previous shows. I've done a lot of great shows throughout the years, so I hope that you guys can really learn something great from one of them. So again, this is me signing off, Nelson E. Brown, and I will see you guys next time. And take care.